Well, we're so glad you're here. It's great to be back here, and I love, can we give it up for Tyler and the CPC staff? Stephanie, thank y'all so much. Little secret about Church World, typically Friday is our day off, okay? So I'm thankful that they're working on today. And we hope, as Tyler said, that you get value out of this. And I have such a heart to help business leaders and nonprofit leaders. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna give you the 4 questions that every single person's asking about your leadership. Then we're going to talk about 2 questions that can grow your business. And then if you're facing any uncertainty in your career, in your business, we're going to talk about how do you figure out what to do next. And if you're here today and you'd say, well, Jeff, I have no uncertainty. Everything's going great in my business. There's no challenges. There's no problems. Well, if that's you, congratulations. But on behalf of the rest of us, we hate you, okay? And but for the rest of us, there's some challenges, okay? So I'm going to throw a lot at you, but here's my hope. Or encourage, maybe a little bit of a challenge. I want you to be on kind of high alert to take 1 or 2 things that I say that you can take back and apply to your business and to your organization. Because when it comes to leadership, everyone deserves to be led well. And so there's a stewardship responsibility that we have as leaders. So I'm gonna throw a lot at you, but my hope is that it's helpful because here's what I believe about you. I believe that God has equipped you in a very specific way to do what you're doing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership, and I want to give you a leadership principle that's really, really helped me. And here's a challenge for all of us as leaders. We never have enough time. As leaders, you're never going to have enough time to do all the things that you would like to do as leaders. If you're looking for the time that someday I'm going to have all the time that I have or would want to as a leader, that's called retirement, okay? And so that's not what we're talking about, although I'm highly all for retirement. But there is a leadership principle, and the leadership principle that actually is going to lead us to the 4 questions that everybody's asking about your leadership is this. As leaders, we will never have enough time, but we will have leadership moments. What are leadership moments? Well, leadership moments are scattered through the course of every day. In fact, when you're about to leave here in just a second, you're about to walk into leadership moments. A leadership moment is a text message to a team member, an email to a colleague, an interaction with a customer. One of my mentors, John Maxwell, said, a leader walks slowly through the crowd and has these leadership moments. And it may not seem like much to you as a leader, but here's the other principle that I've realized about leadership moments. Leadership moments are never small when you're on the receiving end of them. When you're on the receiving end of a leadership encouraging you, when someone's on the other side of a leadership coaching them to get better, even in difficult conversations, at the end of that conversation, the leader goes, the reason we had a difficult conversation is because I believe in you. Those leadership moments are powerful, and they're scattered through the course of every day. And what we need to be as aware of as leaders is that as we leave here and go back to work, there are gonna be leadership moments that happen. Some bigger, some smaller, but they're always there. So I want to share with you one of the leaders that I learned this from about leveraging leadership moments and the 4 questions that everyone's asking about your leadership. And when you carry these 4 questions around with you, it reminds you that as a leader, I'll never have enough time, but I will have a leadership moment. Now, before I introduce this leader, I have to tell you, next year's a big year for me. I have one of those years that has a 0 attached to your number as your age. You ever had one of those? And I won't tell you, I'll just say it this way. I'm in my late 50s and I'm as late as you possibly can get, okay? So I don't know about you, but when I get a 0 attached to my age, I become a lot more reflective. And one of the things I've been reflecting on recently is I've just been surrounded by incredible leaders. I mean, Tyler being one of them. I've just been surrounded by them, and that's great, that's a blessing, but there's a stewardship responsibility for me to carry on what I've learned from other leaders. So I wanna introduce you to one of the leaders that I've learned this from, and that is my mom. My mom is 96 years old. This is her favorite time of year. It's the combination of college football, and pro basketball about to collide. She loves this. Her favorite sport is professional basketball. Her favorite team is the Atlanta Hawks, and her favorite player is Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. And last season, the Hawks were kind enough to arrange an opportunity for my mom to meet Trae Young. This is that picture. And there's a reason why I'm going to share this story with you. But this photo went viral on social media. The National Basketball Association posted it. The Atlanta Hawks posted it on their social media accounts. Trae Young posted it on his social media accounts. And for 24 hours, my 96-year-old mom went viral on Instagram, right? And I told Mom, you've gone viral. To which she said, well, Jeffrey, I don't feel sick. I feel pretty healthy, So I kind of had to explain what that meant to her. All right. But I've watched my mom. When my mom would drag me to the mall back in the days, I watched her do this. She would stop and talk to the mall employees, and she would have these leadership moments. So we get to State Farm Arena 2 hours before the game. There's nobody in the arena other than the Hawks staff, and the Brooklyn Nets were practicing on the court, which is pretty cool. But instantly when we walk into State Farm Arena, my mom starts leveraging these leadership moments. She goes up to the security team and says, hey, how are y'all doing? My name's Margaret, what's your name? It's so powerful, the head of security comes up to me and says, can I walk your mom from here to the locker room to meet Trae Young? I was like, yeah. I actually have a picture of this, the security guard. It was just this powerful moment. She stops and talks to the cheerleaders and go, oh, I love the Hawks cheerleaders. Thanks for what you're doing. We're gonna win. That was kind of a lie, but we're gonna win. And so the Hawks cheerleaders say, excuse me, sir, can I get a picture with your mom? Absolutely. I have that picture in my phone. But these leadership moments, she's just pausing. My favorite moment, though, was one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks comes up to me and says, can I meet your mom? I said, sure. So I said, Mom, this is one of the owners of the Hawks. And so you have to get the picture. So here's one of the owners of the Hawks, my 96-year-old mom, and the Brooklyn Nets are practicing. And at this time, Kevin Durant was on the team. And my mom knows all the players. And so he's over there just shooting. Just this is amazing. So my mom takes his hand and says, oh, I just want you to know, I pray for the Hawks before every game. And then she points to Kevin Durant and she said, but sir, you need Kevin Durant on this team because little Trae needs some help out here, okay? That was an awkward leadership moment, okay? But my point is this, in these moments, they were just drawn to her, right? And so here's why I share this with you. My mom has taught me that in every person that you're interacting with, especially as a leader, they're actually asking 4 questions about you. And here are the 4 questions. In fact, if you get nothing else of what I say today and just let these questions bother you in a really good way, it's not only going to help you, it's going to help the people that you lead and serve. So question number 1, do you see me? That's what people are asking about your leadership. Do you see me? Question number 2, and I'll come back to these, but thanks for writing these down. Do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you hear me? In other words, are you just talking as a leader, or are you actually asking great questions and listening to what I have to say? Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you believe in me? Do you really believe in me? And then the 4th question they're asking, not only about your leadership, but about the organization is, do I belong here? Do I belong here? So let me go over those real quickly. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you believe in me? And do I belong here? And every single day, I know you'll never have enough time as a leader, but I'm telling you, if you'll just glance at these questions before you go into work or however it is your work works, and you go, okay, I don't have to answer all these 4 questions, but I should at least answer one of them a day for every single person that I lead, because here's the reality. You'll never have enough time as a leader, but you will have leadership moments. And they're scattered through the course of every day. Let me give you a couple of examples of these. Do you see me? As Tyler mentioned, I worked at Chick-fil-A marketing years ago, and my wife, Wendy, says I never really left Chick-fil-A. By the way, Operator Brent Allen is here, who provided breakfast for you guys. Could we give it up for Brent and the team? Thank you, Brent. He just opened up a 2nd location. He has nothing going on, so just thanks. I know you were looking at, what do I do today? So thank you, Brent. But when I was there before, though, I walked into the restroom at Chick-fil-A, and the president of the company was standing at the counter there, and he was burning documents. Now, anytime you see the president of a company burning documents, that's usually not a good sign, right? Well, what I discovered is these documents were sales reports of operators, right? And so Jimmy Collins had a lighter, and he was lighting the edges of the sales report, and he would scoop up the ashes, fold up the sales report, put it in an envelope, and put a little note on it that says, congratulations, your sales are on fire. Now imagine this. You're an operator, it's been busy, right? Maybe, any business has its challenges. You get to the restaurant that day, you open up a letter, and there's ashes that fall out of the letter. What is this? And you open it up, and it's a letter from the president of the company that says, your sales are on fire. You know what Jimmy was saying in essence? I see you. I see you. I see you. Here's another leadership principle, by the way. Now I learned this from Andy Stanley. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Can Jimmy Collins do that for every single operator in the chain? No, but you know what? He could do it for a few, because you'll never have enough time, but you will have leadership moments. Do you hear me? Are you listening? One of the best things that we can do as leaders is to ask great questions. You should be collecting great questions to ask your team. Let me give you a couple of them. One of the things, and these are challenging questions, all right? All right, so here I am, some guy from Atlanta. I'm trying to keep my y'alls to a minimum, okay? I've told Tyler I will give $1 for every y'all to the church that I say, okay? So y'all count. So I know I'm just thank you, Tyler. I'm some guy from Atlanta, but I'm gonna challenge you. One of the things you should ask your team is, what does it feel like to work here? What does it feel like to work here? And if you're really brave, ask this one. What's it feel like to work here with me? Another question, if you were me as the leader, what would you do? And the people that are closest to the customer, the people that are closest to the work, they have such access to the answers. But it amazes me how sometimes leaders never talk to the people that are closest to the action. So do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you believe in me? By the way, do you believe in me is just, hey, I've got good news and bad news, or good news and challenging news. The good news is I believe in you. The challenging news is I believe in you. And if you're not performing to the level that I think you can, we're gonna have a conversation, not because I'm against you, it's because I'm for you. And then finally, hey, do I belong here? I think occasionally pausing and just thanking people. Hey, you could go work anywhere. You could go volunteer anywhere. You could go work with or be a part of any organization. I'm so glad that you've chosen to belong here. I'm telling you, you carry those questions around with you. Here's what you'll discover. When you pause and answer those questions for the people that you lead and serve, here's what you'll discover. That leadership moments are never small when you're on the receiving end of them. Okay, now, those are 4 leadership questions. I think we could close in prayer and be done right now, right? But I've prepared way too hard. We got to keep going, all right? So the reason I started with that is that's really a leader that is for others. And my favorite definition of this word for, and I'm so glad that you have the book, and by the way, my cell phone's in the book, so when you read it, text me, and let me know if you have any questions, because I love to connect with people that way. But my favorite definition of the word for is to be in favor of. To be in favor of. Who are you in favor of? And I've loved seeing organizations like CPC. I've loved seeing organizations and businesses really understand, hey, who are we in favor of? A few years ago, one of my favorite companies, the Atlanta Braves, they launched For the A. Let's play For the A. And they're asking basically 2 questions. Hey, who are we playing for? And what are we playing for? Who are we playing for and what are we playing for? By the way, in terms of leadership questions, it's amazing to me and somewhat surprising to me how so many organizations don't have clear answers to this. And when you ask their teams, who are we playing for? What are we playing for? What are you playing for? When you get a lot of different answers, that means that we're not clear about what our purpose is. So we have to live in and on purpose. And here's the reality of this, and this is probably been true, but I think it's true now more than ever. It's no longer about being the best organization in the world. It's about being the best organization for the world. And the thing I love about these breakfasts is we have a combination of for-profit leaders, nonprofit leaders, but the reality is that when it comes to this, it's all about who are you for? Who are you in favor of? Who is your organization for? And so what I want to do, I want to talk about 2 questions that can help move and grow you closer, grow your organization closer to your potential. And so these 2 questions aren't just for your organization, they're actually for you as well. And what I mean by this is when you get really clear about what you want to be known for, Steve Jobs would call it your dent in the universe. What happens is people experience that and they become a part of what you're doing. Here's what thriving organizations do. Thriving organizations know how to transition customers, if you will, from simply benefiting from the mission to participating in the mission. And when you do that, you take a huge step forward to moving closer to your potential. And here's why. And by the way, I'm a marketer at heart. I'm all for marketing. I'm all for advertising. So I'm all for paid advertising. But we all know what the most powerful form of advertising the world has ever seen. It's positive word of mouth advertising when a customer says, oh, you got to go to that restaurant. Oh, this law firm. Oh, I'm telling you, that church. That's a vision carrier. And here's why this is important. A business is no longer what it tells customers it is. A business is what customers tell other customers it is. That, ladies and gentlemen, that's the ball game. And what we're talking about here is vision carriers. And the more vision carriers you have, the more vision casters you have. What's a vision carrier? A vision carrier, as I said earlier, is, oh my goodness, you've got to go to this place. It's amazing. Oh my goodness, don't miss. Because here, my wife, Wendy, and my daughter, Jessie, are here. The only reason they're here is to hear me speak. They're not here because of the beautiful place that you all live, okay? So I'm just kidding. They're really here to see the beautiful place that they're like, how much longer is Dad gonna speak? We gotta get out of here, right? So we love this area, but we've already been, some of you said, oh, hey, by the way, before you leave and go back to Atlanta, you got to go to this place. Oh, before you leave, you got to go to this place. You know what? Those people, you all have been vision carriers. If you're going to move closer to your potential as an organization, you got to create more vision carriers. How do you create vision carriers? Well, I'm glad you asked. It goes back to these two questions. The two questions that can move you closer to your potential as an organization. However it is that you characterize growth. Growth is not exclusive to the for-profit world, by the way. Nonprofits have to understand this. And what I mean by that is growth is just moving, in my opinion, growth is just moving closer to your potential. That's it. There's not a single organization represented here today that says, you know what, Jeff, I hope in about 5 years we completely go out of existence. No one wants that. That's not the goal. The goal is, hey, we want to move closer to our potential. Well, these two questions can help you get there. And here's the great news. It's really, really simple. Question number one is simply this. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? And I'm not going to do this, but when we're done, if I were to ask you, you would tell me, here's the organization that I work for, Jeff. And if I were to ask you, what do you want to be known for? It can't be a 17-paragraph mission statement that we came up with at a retreat 12 years ago that's in a filing cabinet that nobody can recite or remember. Because if there's not clarity, don't miss this. What we're talking about here is vision. What we're talking about here is purpose. In the language of an organization, how you say and communicate the vision, how you say and communicate the purpose is so important, because vision and purpose, as I mentioned, is like a bucket of water, and the more the words are in this bucket, the more the words fall out and people can't recite it and remember it. That's why I love what Tyler and the team have done here. It's just everywhere you see is for the Valley, for the Valley. Hey, what does CPC want to be known for? There's a lot that we want to be known for here, but I'll tell you one thing we all know, we want to be for the Valley. That's really, really, how they've leveraged that is really, really important. Let me give you a business example. Maybe you've bought shoes from Zappos, the online shoe retailer. They have two words, and watch this. By the way, for the nonprofit leaders in the world, watch this. For-profit leaders are trying to talk like nonprofit leaders. It's really smart. Because what for-profit leaders are trying to do, they're trying to talk about purpose. So watch how an online shoe retailer is trying to talk like a nonprofit. Hey, Zappos, you sell shoes online. What do you want to be known for? 2 words. Deliver happiness. Deliver happiness. You sell shoes, but here's what they knew. If they delivered happiness to their team, the team would deliver happiness to the customer, and the customer would deliver happiness back to Zappos. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, in their first 10 years, they delivered so much happiness, they went from 0 sales to $1 billion in sales. They were recently bought by Amazon, like we all will be one day, right? So My boss at the time, years ago, now a friend, David Salyers at Chick-fil-A, he and I flew out to Las Vegas to where their headquarters are in Henderson, Vegas, Nevada. And so everywhere we went, don't miss this. Here's another leadership principle. Leaders are repeaters. It's not enough to know what you want to be known for. You have to say it over and over and over again. So everywhere we went, we saw those two words, deliver happiness. We saw it on shirts, we saw it on walls, we saw it all over the place. I even went into the restroom. In the restroom, there was a big sign that said deliver happiness, which was admittedly a little weird. But even in the restroom, they're staying on message. And what they're talking, here's what they understand. Thriving organizations understand that they can't occasionally visit purpose. Thriving organizations understand they have to live in purpose. They have to live there. And when a leader lives in purpose, the team works on purpose. When a leader lives in purpose, the team works on purpose, and they all know here's what we want to be known for. But here's the challenge. There's a lot of office spaces that are not clear about this. And when there's confusion in the office space, there will be confusion in the marketplace. If the team isn't clear about what we want to be known for, then the customer certainly won't. Okay, so that's number one. What do you want to be known for? That's your question to wrestle with as a team, as a leader. Question number two is not yours, but it's one you've got to listen to. Remember when we asked the question, do you hear me? Question number two is, what are you known for? What are you known for? And here's why I can stand up here with any sense of credibility and tell you that these two questions right here will grow your business. They will grow your organization. No doubt about it. The reason I can say that is because what we're talking about here is the most powerful form, as I mentioned earlier, the most powerful form of growth the world will ever see, positive word of mouth advertising. And here's why these two questions can generate vision carriers and positive word of mouth advertising. It's because don't miss this, when the answers to these two questions match, when what you want to be known for is exactly what you're known for, what you do is you create vision carriers for your business. Now, it's that simple and it's that hard, because here's the reality. In every single organization on the planet today, there's a gap. There's a gap between what they want to be known for and what they are known for. But when we are clear about what we want to be known for, every single day we get to go to work trying to shrink the gap. And I want to show you the 4 ways that you can shrink the gap between these two questions. You actually have to be for 4 groups of people. You have to be for the customer, you have to be for the team, you have to be for the community, and you have to be for you. And I want to give you an example or two for each of these, all right? The first one is for the customer, all right? And I don't know your customer probably as well. I don't know your customer as well as you do. But I do want to give you a customer strategy, a customer service strategy. And that customer service strategy is the more personable, the more remarkable. The more personable you can be to the customer, the more remarkable, the more they'll go, oh my goodness, you see me, you heard me. Those moments are really, really powerful. And I'll go back to what Andy Stanley said. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Now don't miss this. I've been blessed to work for large organizations. We've got some incredible Chick-fil-A operators here today as well. You can't grow a Chick-fil-A without systems and scale, because you can't have 2 pickles on every sandwich without systems and scale, all right? I've also worked for one of the largest churches in America, that we had to have systems and scale to scale that growth. So I'm all for systems and scale. Please don't hear me dismissing systems and scale. But when it comes to that, we can't let the humanity of the business be driven out by systems and scale. We can't get too big and too large without allowing customers, our team, to be able to go, I see you. So I want to give you a marketing strategy that can help you with that. I want to go and tell you that old school marketing, and this still exists, by the way. Old school marketing yells at you and me and says, look at us, look at us, look at us, right? In fact, when you leave here, you're going to be bombarded with all kinds of messages like, look at us, look at us, look at us. What's an example of look at us marketing? Well, have you ever gone to YouTube and you're trying to watch a video and there's a 5-second ad before the video you're trying to watch? Well, that's look at us, right? You didn't show up for that video, but they're like, hey, I'm interrupting you. Now, to be fair, these still have great, results, okay? So I'm not saying they don't have great results. By the way, have you ever noticed that the 5-second ad never has any issue buffering and the video you're trying to watch always does? I have no idea why that is, okay? And that's still important. But where marketing is going, really customer engagement is going, isn't look at us. Because when you say look at us, what you're saying is, hey, we're important, so you need to pay attention to us. That's not really a for the customer mindset. A for the customer mindset, instead of saying look at us, the for the customer mindset says, hey customers, we see you out there. We see you. We see you out there. And I'm telling you, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, so this is not a social media presentation, but so many organizations think they do social media and they don't. They do digital media. I was with a large home improvement company recently, and I won't mention who they are, but they're orange. And I was telling them that, I said, hey, you guys don't do social media. And they about lost their minds. They're like, what in the world are you talking about? We can show you our TikTok. We can show our Instagram. Like, no. You're doing digital media. You're having a monologue. You're not having a dialogue. You've forgotten the social in social media. And I pulled up a post that said, hey, here's a post of a door that y'all posted a few days ago. And you've got 89 comments on this post. You've not responded to a single one of them. It's as if someone would come into your store and have a question about the door and you turn around and not even say anything to them. You're not doing this. And I said, by the way, there's a guy named Hank from Minnesota. He's responded to every single one of them. And you even trusted your multi-billion-dollar brand to Hank from Minnesota, all right? So in essence, what they were doing was, their social media strategy was, look at us, look at us, look at us. They weren't saying, hey, customer, we see you out there. And for those of you that work with smaller organizations, I'm telling you, and when I say smaller, in comparing to a multi-billion-dollar company, you have an advantage. You can be more flexible and more agile. So let me give you an example of a small business that did that. My daughter Jessie's with us today. She's 25. My wife and I officially wrote our last college check this past spring. And I'm telling you, it's a good life. It's a good life. But Jessie's here today, and she's amazing. She works for a church in Birmingham, Alabama. But when Jessie was in college, she was interning for an organization, and they featured her on their social media page. This is Jessie Henderson. She loves this food, and she's obsessed with a musical group, Johnny Swim. And they tagged Johnny Swim. Well, Johnny Swim was coming to town. This is this musical group, husband and wife duo. And my wife, Wendy, who's also here today, by the way, she said, hey, let's take the kids to go see Johnny Swim. That's a fantastic idea. And she said, but hey, for an extra $50 a ticket, we can get backstage and meet Johnny Swim. Well, I'm not good at math, but I'm told 50 times 4 is $200. And we were already spending a whole lot of money on Jessie's college education, so I said, I don't know if we should spend $200 on backstage passes. So terrible dad move, but my accountant was very proud of me. So we didn't buy the backstage passes, okay? So they post this thing about Jessie, the organization she was working on. Well, suddenly our little family text thread we call Fam Jam blows up, and Jessie took a screenshot of this Instagram post with the letters OMG. She's a preacher's kid. That stands for, oh my gosh. Look what's just happened, right? And what happened was Johnny Swim had seen that post and they commented back to her. And Jessie's friends saw it. They were talking to her about it, and it was amazing. And they said, Jessie, we're obsessed with you. We love you. Thank you. It was amazing. So guess what happened next? We bought the backstage passes. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jeff, this didn't really happen. Well, this is just some preacher story. Here's a picture of that moment, okay? Now, do you know why Johnny Swim, this husband duo, is smiling in this picture? It's because they just made $200, all right? Now, don't miss this. Does Johnny Swim need to tell us when they've released new music? Yes. Did they need to tell us when they're going on tour? Yes. But they were not content just to have a monologue. They can't do this for everybody, but they can do it for somebody. And if you make that beautiful little girl, sorry, Jesse, young lady's day as her sappy dad who cries all the time, I'm gonna do my very best to make your day. Now, just for fun, how many of you have ever, before this moment, have ever even heard of Johnny Swim? Can I see your hands? All right, 7. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so guess what happened? All right, don't miss this. Yesterday afternoon, I had a busy morning, working at Chick-fil-A, got on a plane, flew across the country to be here with you today. I'm so honored to be here, and I've flown from Atlanta to San Francisco to tell you about Johnny Swim. Do you know how much money Johnny Swim is paying me in this moment? 0. But that's what vision carriers do. When they say, I see you, you plant a seed, and here we are, right? So the more personable, the more remarkable. I believe in systems and scale, but don't let systems and scale drive out the humanity of the business of an organization saying, I see you. I see you. I'm for you, okay? Now, as important as that is, this one's actually more important for the team. And I can't spend a lot of time here, but the principle here is that the customer is eventually treated like the team is treated. I mean, when I go around the country and I work with organizations and they'll tell me, hey, Jeff, because of your Chick-fil-A background, let us tell you about customer service. And I'm very interested in their customer service, but I'll slightly interrupt them and go, I want to hear about your customer service strategy. But before you tell me that, I really would love to hear more about your team culture. Because your team culture, how you are for the team, that actually is how you treat the customer. Because when you walk into any organization, how they're treating me as a customer is flowing right to me because it's how they're treating the team. You know the very famous culture quote from Peter Drucker, which is so famous and sometimes overused, but here I am going to use it again. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So this isn't an exhaustive list, but in the book, I unpack this, the 5 really strategies for culture. Culture is determined by default or by design, and there's 4 strategies here to build a for the team culture. Believe abundantly, appreciate consistently, develop people intentionally, listen actively, and live repeatedly. We've touched on a few of those here. But I want to talk about this second one, appreciate consistently, because I'm honestly amazed in not such a great way how gratitude is often a missed strategy in a lot of organizations. It's stunning to me that the words thank you aren't used. And it's not used, we don't manipulate people, but I'm telling you, gratitude doesn't cost anything other than a little bit of time. And the challenge is we often feel grateful for people, but we never express it. And another gratitude principle that I've learned from Andy Stanley is unexpressed gratitude communicates ingratitude. It's not enough to feel grateful for your team. You actually have to say it. And I would encourage you to actually write it. I believe in writing handwritten notes. It sounds so simple. It doesn't cost us anything, but I'm amazed how many organizations don't do that. But the ones who do, the return on that investment of time is extraordinary. My hero in the area of handwritten thank you notes is Frank Blake. Frank is the retired CEO of Home Depot. And the first thing that Frank did when he took over, by the way, his boss got fired from the board, and the board hired him as CEO, and Home Depot wasn't in a great spot when Frank took over, and he turned it around. One of the best turnarounds in recent business history, in my humble opinion. And when I had a conversation with, and this story's in the book, when I was writing this book, I had breakfast with Frank, and I said, what's the one thing you did to turn it around? And he goes, I think there was more than one, but it was probably the handwritten thank you notes. I'm like, wow, okay, handwritten thank you notes. Like, how many would you write in a week? And he said 100. I'm like, did you say 100? 100. I'm like, 100, how did that work? He goes, well, don't miss this, y'all. There's $1 there, Tyler. The first thing I did is I got all of our division directors on a call, and I said, hey, from now on, when there's something that happens in your location that an associate does, could you send me an email? Because I want to sit down on Sunday afternoon in my office at home and write them a thank you note. That statement sent a shockwave through Home Depot that there's a culture shift. We have a leader that wants to say thank you. My favorite Frank Blake story, he's in a Home Depot one time. He's got the orange apron on. He's helping customers. You wouldn't know that guy's the CEO. So a Home Depot associate comes up and says, Mr. Blake, you wrote me a handwritten thank you note. Thank you so much. But I have a question for you. Could you write me another one? And Frank goes, well okay. Well, why do you need another one? He goes, well, when I got your note, I showed it to everybody. I showed it to my coworkers. I showed it to my wife. I showed it to everybody. And they all said the same thing. That's not a real note. Frank Blake didn't write you. It was generated by a computer. It's not real. In fact, one of them, Mr. Blake said, if you take this note and put it underwater, the ink won't run because it was written by a computer. So Mr. Blake, I took your note and I put it underwater. The good news was it was a real note and the ink ran and it ruined the note. The bad news was it was a real note, the ink ran and it ruined the note. Could you write me another one? Now here's my point. I know we're not all Frank Blake, CEO of Home Depot. That's not the point. The point is, and this honestly, to be honest with you, this is one of the things that breaks my heart. The leadership bar is so low. So many people have never been around a leader that genuinely says thank you, that the first response when someone sees that is, that can't possibly be real. I have no category for a CEO writing a handwritten thank you note. I was recently with speaking to a group of young leaders, and I say that because as I get close to 60, everybody is young leaders that I'm speaking to right now, right? And so I was talking about handwritten thank you notes, and one of them came up after me and said, Jeff, nobody writes handwritten thank you notes anymore. Nobody does that anymore. That's old school. Nobody does that anymore. To which I responded, exactly. If the whole world is going this way, you need to be going this way. Because can I just be honest with you for a second? That's a terrible question. What's the other option? Can I just lie to you for a second? I mean, this is gonna sound like I'm patting myself on the back, okay? But the reason I wanna share this with you is this isn't something I've theorized about. This is something I do. So in 2023, one of the goals in my life was I wanted to write a handwritten note, thank you note of encouragement every single day. I did that in 2023, every single day, 365 days. It ended up being around 500 notes, because some days I did more than one. The feedback I got was so astounding, I decided to do it this year as well. And it's a little bit of time. I've already done it today, a little bit of time. In the feedback, we make leadership so complicated. Just write a handwritten thing. I'm telling you, the feedback, appreciate, but here's the word, appreciate consistently. This one, you're experiencing this today for the community. Imagine what CPC's doing. By the way, we're gonna be here Sunday. I'll be preaching Sunday, so I'm excited about that. We're celebrating the 5th anniversary of For the Valley. But a lot of organizations, what they do is they when it comes to leadership, they have 5 layers of leadership. The leader has to lead themselves, they have to lead the team, they have to lead the customer, they have to lead the organization, and most stop there. Thriving organizations of the future will understand that there's a 5th layer that ultimately we've got to get to. There's a friend of mine, he's the global chief marketing officer for a company called Kids2. They create Baby Einstein, if you're familiar with that. They're on the cutting edge of young parenting research. And he said the number one question that our customers are asking, and it's not just for them, I think it's for all of us, is this: what is your organization doing to help make our community a better place to live? That's leading the community. And today's an example of that. I'm not being critical, and I'm not saying that every church needs to do a business breakfast, but most churches in America are closed on Friday, and yet this church is saying, hey, we want to be for the Valley. That's really, really important. But I want to talk about you to close today. I want to talk about the best gift that you can give your organization is a healthy, inspired you. So how are you doing? And one of the things I would encourage you, we've been talking about organizations, but I would take these two questions and apply them to you. What do you want to be known for, and what are you known for? You should have a list of the different areas in your life that you want to be, what you want to be known for. I have something that I want to be known for as a husband, something I want to be known for as a dad, something I want to be known for as a son, something I want to be known for in my financial life, my spiritual life. That really helps me because guess what? There's a gap in my life in every single area. But with God's help and friends' help and Wendy's help, I'm trying to shrink the gap. And here's what I've discovered, that if I can get my heart right as a leader, that's more than half the battle. And I want to show you 3 hearts of a leader, heart trends. And my hunch is that you're in one of these right now. And this isn't to be judgmental, it's just to have an awareness. And the 3 heart trends of a leader is what I call bitter, brittle, and better. There's the bitter leader. Have you ever been around a bitter leader? That's a joyful place to be. Have you ever been around a brittle leader? Yeah, and have you been around a better leader? Well, here's the difference here. And I don't have time to get into all the semantics of this, but a bitter leader is easily cynical. That's when you can tell you're around a cynical leader. Like they can take the best of news and turn it around to like, oh, well, the shoe's about to fall. I'm telling you what, I know how this thing's gonna go. All right, there's a warning light on the dashboard, all right? So the bitter leader is easily cynical. And that cynicism is grown out of resentment and unprocessed grief. And when a leader doesn't take time to process grief, it leads to resentment, it leads to cynicism, and they become a bitter leader. And a bitter leader can't lead well. Brittle is easily discouraged. The little bit of criticism can feel like a sledgehammer. And then what happens with brittle is that's where insecurity and fear grows that discouragement and grows that brittleness. But the better leader is easily inspired. So how do you avoid the first 2 and lean into the third? Well, you just got to figure out what to do next. So wherever you are in your particular season of life, I want to give you a strategy of trying to figure out what to do next. And part of what happens with leadership is sometimes it's so hard. Sometimes we're trying to grow, and sometimes we're surprised by how hard growing is, growing ourselves, growing an organization. So I just want to let you know, opportunities really flow to those who grow, all right? One of my favorite quotes on growth is from a mutual friend of mine. He also works at Chick-fil-A, David Farmer. He says this: if you're the same person 6 months from now, you're falling behind. So how are you growing? And the bitter leader isn't really interested in growth. The brittle leader is so discouraged that they don't grow. But the better leader understands, I've got to keep growing. And the reason why is because opportunities flow to those who grow. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Discomfort is the price for growth. Discomfort is the price for growth. I mean, Brent just opened up his second location, as I mentioned, and I was sharing with him, hey, you're just 2 weeks into this. There's some things that you've never done before. There's some things that running 2 locations, it's very uncomfortable, but that's the part of growth. And so I want to show you a picture of what it looks like when we're doing things that we've never done before. We've got to be careful to avoid bitterness and brittleness and understand that we can do this and still move toward better. But here's the picture of what happens when you're trying to grow yourself, when you're trying to grow leadership, when you're trying to grow and do things you've never done before. It looks like this. Have you ever been there? Now, let me tell you about this picture. I didn't rip this off the internet. I didn't Google this. I took this picture. And here's why. 4 years ago, I was in a new season of my career. I'd just written my second book. I was trying to figure out, all that stuff, and had some opportunities that I thought were going to play out. Didn't really work out like I was thinking. So I told my wife, Wendy, I just got to go for a walk. And I went on a walk, and I came across this guy. And I just bent down, and I had a conversation with a turtle. And I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with a turtle. They're highly introverted. They withdraw into their shell. It's like some monologue. And I just bent down and I said, buddy, I know exactly how you feel. This is exactly how I feel today. And I don't know if you can tell this or not, but over to your right, my left, there's a curb there. From what I could tell, the turtle, first of all, had crossed the other side of the road, which is a minor miracle in and of itself that he made it, right? And he was trying to get to a new level in his turtle life. Hey, I've got visions, I got dreams, I got hopes. I'm gonna get to another level. And at some point, it got so overwhelming that he fell on his back, right? You ever been there? I know exactly how you feel, right? And he was probably thinking, I should have probably just stayed where I was. And some of you probably have that thought right now. I probably just should have stayed where I was. No, keep going. Because here's what I've discovered. It's when you fall on your back, and I think this is a spiritual principle, by the way. When you fall on your back, I believe God pulls people around to pull you up and keep you going. That's why community is so important. Now, some of you stopped listening to me because you're asking this question. You're not asking questions about growth. You're not asking questions about leadership. You're asking this question. Jeff, what happened to the turtle? Okay, so I want to share with you what happened to the turtle. I picked him up, placed him on higher ground. He's speaking at turtle conferences now, coming out with a new book. It's amazing, all right? So it's awesome. But I'm telling you, and this has happened in my life. When I felt like I'm on my back, I'll have people come pick me up. But maybe you're the person that needs to do the picking up. Maybe you're not the turtle. Maybe you're me in this. And maybe there's somebody here. Maybe there's somebody that you know that needs to get a text message to say, hey, I know that business is, you're trying to get to this level of the business or this level in your company, and you may feel like you're on your back, but I just want to let you know, keep moving forward. And when it comes to growth, you got to keep moving forward because you've disturbed the present to move forward. I love, one of my favorite quotes about growth is this one from Catherine Booth, the co-founder of Salvation Army. If we are to better the future, we must disturb the present. If you're going to better the future, you've got to disturb your present. Because if you haven't been uncomfortable in the last 5 years, you've probably gotten too comfortable. And you need to, I'm not saying you do something stupid, but you need to disturb the present. So to close today, I want to give you 2 ways to do that. I want to talk about your thinking, because how you think really will determine if you keep moving forward. How you think about your particular situation is so important. And you know this. What happens to you isn't as important as how you think about what happened to you. That's way more important. Another way to say this is how you view life determines how you do life. How you view this situation will determine how you will lead and move through this situation. And so I want to give you 2 ways two thoughts that have plagued me. This isn't an exhaustive list. We don't have all the time we would need for me to tell you all the thoughts that have plagued me in my life, but I'm going to give you 2. And I want to give you these 2 because I bet you have thoughts that have plagued you as well. Here's a thought that has plagued me constantly because I'm a starter. I like starting things, but when I start things, I have this thought. And for the starters in the room, I know you can relate to this thought. That thought is, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? What if they see on Facebook that I'm a complete what about when I go to my high school reunion, they go, hey, what about that thing that didn't work? What if this doesn't work? And what happens is when I get there and I don't bring my full self. So I have to be aware of that thinking. One of the best leaders I've ever been around, he recently retired from Chick-fil-A, Tim Tosopoulos, encouraged all of us to think about your thinking. Don't just think about your thinking. Kind of pull away from yourself and go, oh, okay, so you're thinking, what if this doesn't work? So when I'm aware of that, here's what I have to do. I have to convert that thought to, what if this does work? That's a completely different mindset. What if this does work? Oh my goodness, the potential of what can happen if this does work. And when I think about what if this does work, it leads me into a positive mindset of vision versus fear, all right? So that's one of the thoughts. The second thought I want to share with you is I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I just hope no one else figures that out as well, right? And so what happens is when I go, I don't know what I'm doing, I become my biggest critic. And I limit myself. So I have to convert that thought to this. I'm doing something I've never done before, and I have to give myself grace. Maybe you can relate to this. I can offer grace to every single person in my life, but the one person that I have a hard time extending grace to is myself. So I have to go, hey, by the way, do you talk to yourself? I talk to myself all the time. I go, Jeff, come on. And that's probably healthy if I said Fred. That would be a little bit because that's not my name, right? So Jeff, you've never done this before. You're learning, okay? So what are the thoughts that plague you, and can you convert them? Because if you are trying to figure out your career, what to do next in your life, it's gonna be one right here. And to close, I'm gonna give you a question that's gonna help you, help grow your organization. I know we've thrown a lot of questions for you today, but I wanna land with this one, and that one is to ask big by asking people this question: will you help me? Will you help me? So when I left Chick-fil-A back in 2003, Wendy and I eventually led 3 churches over those last 18 years. And I ended up having to build and do fundraising. I never really raised money for anything, so I didn't know how to do that. So I came across this question: will you help me? And it's not just a fundraising question, it's a helpful question for me to go to people and go, hey, here's my vision, will you help me get there? Because I can't do this by myself. So when I would ask people for money, I would get one of 3 answers. Like I would say, hey, here's my vision, here's what we're trying to do in this community, here's the people we can serve and lead, will you help me? And I would get one of 3 answers: yes, no, or I'll pray about it, which is also no, okay? But that's okay, because my responsibility as a leader is to ask the question. It's their responsibility to provide an answer, right? So why don't I share this with your personal growth? Because it's a humbling thing to humble yourself and go, hey, I got a big vision, but will you help me? Hey, I got a big vision. Will you help me? But the key sign to me of a leader that's growing is someone who's willing to ask that question. Because there's something that's driving them. It's not about them, it's about the vision. But they know in and of themselves, they can't get there. They're going to need some help. And you show me a leader that has that confident humility, and I'll show you a leader that is going places, taking their organization places. So I'll close with this story, because it actually happened not too far from here, a few years ago. When Jesse graduated from high school, by the way, Jesse has a brother, he's awesome, but I have no stories about Cole today. So when she graduated from high school, I said, honey, where do you want to go? She goes, Dad, I'd love to go out to San Francisco. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then I remembered Pixar was out here. And our kids grew up watching Pixar movies, and it was awesome. In fact, do y'all remember DVDs? Do you remember DVDs, right? They would have a bonus DVD. Well, on Monsters, Inc., they had a bonus DVD, and the bonus DVD was about the tour of the Pixar offices. And for whatever reason, my kids we love watching the bonus DVD of the Office thing. So when Jesse wanted to come out to here, I remembered, oh, Pixar's out here. Well, I had spoken at a conference with Ed Catmull, the COO of Pixar, a few years ago. So I wanted to write Ed Catmull a letter, and here's why. Remember when I said I have an answer to the question, what do you want to be known for as a dad? Here's what I want to be known for as a dad. I want to be known for being an intentional, memory-making, legacy-leaving dad. That's what I want to be known for. But do you know who you need to go ask on whether I'm living that out? That beautiful young lady there, right? And there's a gap in my life. But I'm like, oh, this would be a great intentional memory-making, legacy-leaving moment. So I wrote Ed Catmull a note. Mr. Catmull, I know you don't remember me, but we spoke at a conference together. Here's our picture, put it in the note, #stalker. Would you give us a tour? My daughter graduated from high school, we're coming out. We love Monsters, Inc., blah, blah, blah. And so I'm writing this note. And remember when I told you I talked to myself? So on one side, I'm going, this would be amazing. And then there's another thought. The other thought said, don't you have anything better to do with your time? Do you know how expensive a postage stamp is? There's not a chance in the world this is gonna get to him. You don't even know if this is the right address. This is a complete, total waste of your time. Over here, I'm thinking, this would be amazing. Over here, I'm thinking, this is a total waste of my time. Welcome to every single day of your life. And all I'm saying is, don't listen to this voice. Now, this voice is trying to protect us because you're gonna get a lot of no's over here. But when you're clear about what you wanna be known for, you keep writing. So I wrote the note, put it in the mail, and I didn't hear from Pixar for 4 months. Then one day I get a call from Oakland, California. I don't really know anybody from Oakland, California. So I didn't, and I've also told, don't answer your phone if you don't know who it is. That's how they get your social security number. So I didn't answer my phone. Later I had a voicemail, and the voicemail said, Mr. Henderson, my name is Wendy from Ed Campbell's office. We got your letter. We'd love to give you a tour. Just call me back. And I just looked at my phone and said, shut up, it works. So we fast forward a few weeks later, we drive up to the iconic Pixar gates that Steve Jobs designed. I rolled down my window and said, hello, we're the Hendersons from Swanee, Georgia for our tour. And the security guard, nothing. And I thought, oh no, if this doesn't work, my kids will never let me hear the end of it. Remember when Dad got us arrested at Pixar? That was legacy leaving. Well, finally, the security guard smiles and says, welcome, Hendersons from Swanee, Georgia. We're glad you're here. They gave us these badges that said strangers from the outside. I love that. They took us to, they showed us their Academy Awards. They showed us where Steve Jobs' office was. He'd passed away a few years before this. They bought us lunch. And I don't know, maybe we're just nice, sweet people from Georgia, but the tour guide said, hey, we don't ever do this, but we're gonna let you go by and see us making a film. We had to sign a non-disclosure agreement that says if you tell anybody about what you're about to see before this movie comes out, we can kill you. Okay, so that was very alarming. We signed it, and it was the movie Coco. I don't know if you saw that movie or not, but we got to actually get to see them making Coco. Are you kidding me? But my favorite moment, it's all over. We're leaving, and Jessie comes up to me. We're standing in the lobby of Pixar, and she goes, Dad. She comes here, she looks around, and she goes, Dad, this is so cool. And instantly, I went back to writing that note. And I came this close to putting my pen down. But when you're clear about who you're in favor of, when you're clear about what you want to be known for and who you want to serve, you keep writing. I'm not going to tell you you're going to get a yes every single time. You're going to get no more than yes. But when you're clear about who you're in favor of, you move through the no's because eventually you're going to get a yes. That's why I look at this photo all the time. It's just a reminder, keep asking big. And the reason you keep asking big is because of this. In a hypercritical, cynical world often known for what it's against, let's be leaders known for who we're in favor of, to be known for who and what we're for. Now, the great thing about being at this church today is we are not taking up an offering. You should be very excited about that, right? But we are gonna take some questions, maybe 2 or 3, Tyler, and then we're gonna let you go back, because you guys got places to be and have people to serve, so.
So Stephanie and I, by the way, that's Stephanie Nava. She's the leader of our For the Valley team here at the church. Give Stephanie a little round of applause. She helped put this whole thing together. If you have a question that you want to ask Jeff right now, we're going to go around with these microphones. You want to go right now? Okay, that's probably better than my question. Because we want more questions from you. I had one ready to go that was kind of baked in, but if you're ready, here you go.
Will you help me?
Yeah, let me know what you need. Absolutely.
Donations for foster children, supporting foster children.
Great question. Thank you. If anybody else has a question ready, raise your hand right now because I'll come to you. If not, I got one ready that I kind of thought about. And that is, everybody here right now, Jeff, is either a leader or they fancy themselves to be a leader. They want to be a leader. And so when you started talking about pouring into your team and pouring into your customer, what percentage of time would you focus on each of those? More toward the customer, more toward the team, and why, based on your experience?
Well, great question, Tyler. I think it depends on your role. I would say in my role as a leader, I'm focusing more on the team than the customer but I do want to be close to the customer. So most of my time would be with the team, but then I want to be intentional about carving out time with the customer. So it depends, but I always would lean more as the leader on the team, because leadership is not just getting things done right. Leadership is getting the right things done through people. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, if you're always in the mix so much, we need to be there, but we need to be able to get things done through people. That's leadership. Management is different, and I'm not dismissing management, but leadership is getting the right things done through people. And sometimes I see leaders defining leadership as leadership is getting things done right. And that's not leadership. It's getting things done through people. So when I say through people, that's why I'm focusing most of my time on the team, that they're the ones that are getting the work done.
Great, I got a question here. If you're on that side, Stephanie will see you, raise your hand, she'll come to you.
Hey, Jeff, I saw you years ago here. Absolutely loved it. Great again today. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Things have changed a little bit since COVID in the leadership world with the Gen Z, millennials, the culture that we're in right now. What advice do you have for leaders to, we're given these cards to play. We don't choose our deck of cards, right? The cards that we're given, but we got to play the hand we're given.
Right.
How do we play it differently amongst this culture and this generation that's coming up?
Mm-hmm. So I really do believe in small circles right now, really impacting the smallest circles around me. I think in our world today, because of social media, again, I have a love-hate relationship. Sometimes we pay a whole lot of attention out here and not a lot of attention real up close. And so I feel like small is the new big post-COVID. Small is the new big in terms of that small circle. That's where I'm going to have my biggest impact. I'll give you an example. Susanna Cho and Phil Cho right here, they just hosted what we're calling a community leadership breakfast, where they invited leaders in from their community to have breakfast with them, and they talked about servant leadership. Y'all had about 5, 6, 7 people there. That's a small circle. I think that's a much more effective way than I'm gonna counterpoint you on, Instagram. So I think small is the new big, and where can I have the biggest emphasis locally? I think that's what Tyler and Stephanie have done today. How can we impact small group of leaders? That small is the new big. I think that's the new wave post-COVID, if that makes any sense.
Anybody else got a question? Raise your hand. This is...
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Something you said really resonated with me when you mentioned, what if it doesn't work? So I wanted to ask what advice you might give to someone who's spent a lot of time and effort into a certain career path, and they're maybe thinking of taking a leap of faith and making a change.
Great question. So I think a question to ask is when things aren't working is, what am I learning in this? So a friend of mine was the innovation director at Coca-Cola, and I asked him, how many products do you need to launch for it to be a success before you lose your job, right? Is it 5? Is it 6? He goes, I can't look at innovation that way. Everything that we try, I have to ask the question, what am I learning from this? Because at some point that learning is going to take me somewhere, right? So when I'm thinking about a career, I'm going to do a different, because I've moved in different streams, right? I've went from Chick-fil-A to launching a church. And so I was closed on Sundays, now I'm open on Sundays, right? That kind of a thing. The details of the job change. What doesn't change is my own gifting and natural strengths. So the more I understand my gifts and strengths, the better. I can apply them in different ways, but I'm probably never gonna be good at accounting. So if I'm gonna go an accounting stream, that's gonna be a heavy lift for me. But I did vision at Chick-fil-A, and I did vision at a church and leadership there, and now I'm doing leadership. Those gifts are gonna follow me. So I'm really more interested in when I'm making a career track or a career change, the gifts I have, are they gonna be elevated in this new career? And if not, it's gonna be a heavy lift for me. So what I'm paying attention to is more about my own natural gifts and strengths. If you haven't read Marcus Buckingham's book, Now Discover Your Strengths, it's a must on that particular stretch. So that's what I'm thinking about. My strengths are always gonna go with me. And I can use them in different ways in different areas, but that's the most important thing. Thanks.
We got
Great
time
question.
for one more question. Okay, I'll come to you.
Thank you again for being here. Loved seeing you last time. Loved this morning.
Great, thank you.
If
My
you've got
pleasure.
a team that is part of your organization, you kind of hired them, but you can't fire them. But they're not buying into your vision. If you've got a vision, you're trying to inspire them, get them, and build your team, and they aren't a part of it. Any tricks that you've come up with or steps you've taken to get some buy-in? I can be for them, and I find myself being more for them and losing my vision and goal. And they're still not buying into what I'm trying to do.
And you can't fire them?
I can ignore them, but no, I can't technically fire them.
Okay. I think, unfortunately, that is going to have to come with time and questions. And to me, asking the question, do you want to be here? Here's the vision. Are you bought into this vision? Because here's the thing, if someone's coming to work for an organization and they don't buy into the vision, that's gonna wear down on their heart. And I think holding up a mirror to their heart and going, this is gonna be a heavy lift for you, you're gonna spend about 70% of your life at work, or whatever is this what you wanna do? And kind of reflecting back to them and asking them questions. So what I wanna do is to help a team member self-diagnose themselves with great questions. So, are you passionate about this? Oh, you're not passionate about this? Okay, why not? Okay, is there anything about this job that you really like? If we moved you into another role, would you still not like it here? No. Man. That must stink to be you, right? And so I think helping them go, So you become a thought partner versus a judge. But I would also go back to, you can't fire them? I'm just kidding. So here I am. Be for people, but you need to fire them too. I know that's kind of hypocritical, but great questions.
All right, how about a round of applause for Jeff this morning? So as you go, just a couple of things. Number one, this morning was truly our gift to you. Our church believes that being for others like God is for us can truly change the world. And so we're just trying to make a deposit in our community. And that's why we do things like this. We're already planning our next one. Not ready to announce exactly when it's going to be. But if you enjoyed this, I would say come back to the next one in a few months and bring your team or your associates. Because, again, just another opportunity to make a deposit into people in and for our community. If you enjoyed Jeff this morning, he's going to stick around he doesn't have all morning, but he's going to stick around for a little bit this morning and answer any questions. I know sometimes people have questions, but asking in front of a big group is a little bit difficult. So if you have a one-on-one question for Jeff, he'll stick around and answer a few of those. And if you really enjoyed him, come back and join us for one of our services on Sunday morning, 9 and 10:45 a.m. Totally different message, but a pretty awesome worship experience. We'll have great music and a message that applies to your life. So can I just close us in prayer, and then you can be on your way. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the chance to have Jeff here. Thank you for the privilege of having a portion of his family, Wendy and Jesse, here as well. I thank you for every man and woman in this room. People who are leaders, who are contributors to our community from all different walks of life, Lord. We thank you for the blessing of living in this place at this time with these people, Lord. And I pray that you would give us all ears to hear and a mind to process and a heart to and courage to apply something from this morning's message for our families, for our teams at work, for this community that we get to live in and that we love to serve. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. God bless you. We hope to see you soon.